In Johnson City, we go all out for outdoor recreation. These mountains, valleys, rivers, and lakes makes our region one of nature's greatest playgrounds. This beautiful backdrop frames our identity and heritage. It's the foundation of our brand. But it's the people who live, work, and play here that truly make our home such a wonderful place. A place where anyone can start a business, pursue an education, raise a family, and thrive. And those opportunities are made possible through exceptional city services. Johnson City operates at the hands of hundreds of dedicated employees, public servants I'm proud to know as friends and neighbors. We go all out every day to ensure Johnson City is and will remain an outstanding community for generations to come. It's a short ride from the top of Tannery Knobs to these doors. But the path here took lots of planning and hard work. We've come a long way towards realizing an ambitious vision. So let me come in and tell you where we are today.
It is to come down off the Tannery Knobs. It's great. So how many would like to have Johnson City be a more bike-friendly city? Well, first and foremost, thank y'all so much for coming to listen to our city, county, and town State of the Union, I guess we might say. It's particularly a privilege for me to be serving as your mayor, and particularly during our sesquicentennial year. So this is our 150th birthday. And we've left some, what we call swag on your table. There's some playing cards, so I don't know if that means we've got to learn how to hold them and how to fold them, but we're going to use those playing cards as we deal ourselves in good hands for the future. There's also a little thing to teach us all how to say what the 150th birthday is. So if you'll reach over on the table and get that little tab, and we've sounded out the name of the 150th birthday. So everybody can practice for just a second. Yeah, I hear it, I hear it. All right, on the count of three, we're going to say it. 1, 2, 3.
Sesquicentennial!
All right, thank y'all so much. Before I get into the presentation today, I would like to thank some people in this room. First and foremost, to our city manager, Mr. Peterson, and to the city staff who take care of us every single day. When you think of the city the size of Johnson City, of 66,000 plus people, there are 1,000 moving parts going on almost in every hour. And so we have the most incredible city staff, and Pete and all of your administration, thank you so much for everything that you do. Likewise, I want to thank all the business people who are sitting in here today. You invest in our community on an ongoing basis. And then I also want to thank our citizens because of your commitment to Johnson City. And because of these things, and on behalf of our commission, I can clearly come to you today, when we don't have the moving, and say the state of our city is strong. But we have to keep an eye on the future and the market challenges that we're seeing, but also the opportunities that we see as well. And our clicker's not working. There we go. So one of the things that I said on top of Tannery Knobs is that the state of our city, that we go all out for outdoor recreation. And I want to take us back to 2014 and before to tell you the story of the Tweetsie Trail and how it got started. We had a group of committed commissioners, advocates for trail systems, and community leaders who really fought hard to get the right-of-way for the abandoned Tweetsie Trail Railroad. And this is the result. It took neighbors to neighbors working together, and I think we all can see the impact that the Tweetsie Trail has had in starting off this whole movement of a great quality of life in Johnson City. And now we've got this. That's where I was just a few minutes ago up at Tannery Docks. And hopefully we will be cutting the ribbon on this very, very soon. It's 40 acres in downtown, and folks, this is a unique place that no other city has. The people who've been here working and creating and developing the trail system up there, who go all over the country, say there's nothing like it. Where would you find a mountain bike park of this quality that's 2 blocks off the interstate? And the views from up there, this is a view we didn't know we had. And so it's in the middle of our downtown, so it is going to be a go-to place. It's appropriate for all skill levels. We have green, blue, and black trails. I've ridden the green trail, that's where I was up there. And then we have a pump track right on the summit of that mountain. And so it's going to be a hit to kick off what we have. We also have other things in our city to make it more quality of life place. Buffalo Mountain Park has 5 hiking trails, and we're going to be studying the feasibility of adding more mountain bike trails at Buffalo Mountain Park. You know, you can get on a trail system at our city park, at Buffalo Mountain, and wind up in Maine if you want to. We just got to get you across the Nolichucky River. We also are committed to a trail system, a master plan for a trail system around Johnson City. And along the state of Franklin and the connecting trails, we have over 7 miles of trails. 5 miles of mountain bike trails in Lean Deer Park that was built by Sorba. Talk about a public-private partnership. And then just many multi-use trails in our park system.
In Johnson City, we go all out for business development.
As Vice Mayor Joe Wise, thank you, Joe. And one of the things that we do on a regular basis, every other year, we go to our citizens to have you tell us what we need to be thinking about and to advise us. And so on the business development side, we asked the question about the future economic health and vitality of our city. And these were the top 6 things that were told to us by you. Number one was a vibrant downtown, okay? 2, tourism and outdoor recreation, entertainment options, attracting advanced manufacturing, more family-friendly activities, and then infrastructure improvement. And so we feel that these are the marching orders to this commission in terms of how we plan for the budget for the year coming up. And we have some success. Let's go back here. I think everyone knows this beautiful picture downtown of Founders Park. And ladies and gentlemen, Founders Park changed everything. And it started with a commission who, in those days, when we talked about having a water feature in the city, the only thing we could refer to was flooding. And so the commission before me and before them stepped up to the plate and said, we have to have a stormwater fee. It's the only way we can generate enough revenue to address the flooding problem. Well, they went beyond that. It began to generate enough revenue, and so the first place was the old tobacco warehouse we're all familiar with if we grew up here in Johnson City that covered that entire block. And by the way, the creek ran right under that tobacco warehouse. And I don't know, in the late 1800s and early 1900s when Johnson City was really developing, people in our position, commissioners, they thought it was a good idea to build downtown over 2 creeks. So we're still dealing with that today. The Founders Park could have just been a detention basin and with a fence around it. But that commission at that time, the ones following, committed to the funding to turn it into more. And so the passive park, which was designed to flood, as I said, changed everything because the private sector then stepped forward and said, we will invest, and that's what we're seeing today. So we followed suit with King Commons. And I want to thank Diana Cantler publicly for your group that helped save this landmark sign. And so we finally have a place where people can take pictures. If they take it at the right place, they see the beautiful Buffalo Mountain behind it. But this space as well is a gathering place for events, and I can tell you all the old buildings there on Commerce Street are being redeveloped as we speak. The other things is just our curb appeal. Getting downtown as a vibrant place with a good look to it. JCBA did this project of the breezeway between Downtown Square and Road Street, and it's now an art gallery, and so much brighter and lighter, and so we'll continue doing projects like that. They do facade grants for the downtown buildings. have hosted over 70 events in downtown. And so let's look at what's happened down there. Downtown is called the TIF district, and the really aggressive incentives and forward thinking that we have in terms of business development in the downtown area have increased the property values 53% since the TIF district was started. Our next big opportunity is West Walnut Street corridor. We're all familiar with it. It runs from East Tennessee State University down into downtown. Our commission approved a concept plan that gives us a 10 to 20 year roadmap, but that timing may be expedited because development is already occurring there, as we all know. But this reimagines that corridor to make it more pedestrian friendly, bike friendly, and a place where people want to go and just enjoy their neighbors. So we're excited about that project. We have funded the design of the infrastructure changes in this year's budget and hopefully construction in 2021.
In Johnson City, we go all out for city services.
As we can see Commissioner Fowler standing at our water treatment plant, and we could not be prouder of the services the city provides for its citizens. One of the things that Mr. Peterson and Mr. Wilson keeps us on task with is managing our budget. We are in a strong financial position. Standard & Poor's has upgraded our bond rating from AA- to AA. And the commission has self-imposed a debt service payment annually not to exceed $11 million. And so our borrowing for debt is very deliberate, very specific. And on some of the projects that are big projects like a school, having the debt on that is a good thing because it allows, we want to give the generations that follow us the opportunity to help pay for it. So we do have, so you young people in there, we're doing something for you. We still have one of the lowest property tax rates of $1.89 for $100 value of your property of comparable cities. Our 2018 audit, we had no findings whatsoever. But here's kind of a little bit of the bad news. We're planning our budget for 2020 right now with a growth rate in revenues of only 0.6%. Okay? So things are pretty flat right now. We need to get the organic growth going back into our community. So some of the projects we've completed this year, and I think everybody's had experience with all of them. This is a shot, thank goodness we have drones now, because with every picture you see this magnificent, beautiful place where we live. This is the intersection at State Franklin and Indian Ridge Road. They used to back up and you couldn't get through there. You'd be backed up all the way to almost Old Navy, to get through this intersection. It's beautifully done. TDOT paid for about 80% of the cost, so we like that. And this gave another back entrance into the Food City complex, and so we're real pleased about that. We've added new sidewalks, through this project, and it's just alleviated traffic congestion tremendously. Okay, this is one thing. When I came on the commission in 2013, we just weren't putting enough into street repaving. We are doing that now. $3 million a year is assigned to street repaving, but our streets have gotten into a condition that we're really having to rebuild some now. So the cost of that is tremendous. But hopefully you're seeing improvement. We're not there yet. We still have a lot of work to do, but we are committed as a commission to not pull money from this street fund. We've built over 10,000 linear feet of sidewalks and trails, and some of the sidewalks you're seeing are taking a different shape or different widths so they can serve as both trail and sidewalk. One of the completions of a roundabout, taking some new ideas and keeping traffic flowing. If anybody lives out off Browns Mill and Mountain View, you know what a bottleneck that was. And so came up with the idea to do a roundabout. Well, some of the criticism was, you'll get senior citizens like me, and you'll get in that traffic circle and they'll never get out. But guess what? They're the ones who do the best. In fact, there's a lot of senior living out there, and so they love that roundabout. So we all do. Traffic doesn't back up there at all. anymore. So that was a really good innovative move. We've also added a traffic signal at Mountain View and Rome Street. We had a lot of accidents there, and that's one of our, Pete, that's kind of one of our smarter traffic lights, isn't it? And it's like you can pull up to it at any time, it's gonna turn green. So I'm like, how do they do that? So we're real pleased with that one. And now you're seeing a project out at Green Line Road and Peoples Street, going up into the development where Home Depot is. You'll have additional lanes there, turning off of State of Franklin, and once you get up in there'll be additional lanes, and there'll be a traffic signal right there at that intersection that gets backed up so bad. And of course, we have a new development of retail occurring in the old Kmart building. Well, this was a great project. And if you stare at it long enough, you're going to see a huge water tank there. We replaced the water tank up at Tannery Knobs. Lots going on at Tannery Knobs. And so we increased the capacity from 3 million gallons, added space for 2 more million gallons. So that tank is a reservoir for 5 million gallons of water in our city. We hope it doesn't break. That might just come down and wash out City Hall, right? Water sewer services are, we receive awards all the time for the quality of our water, and I know our citizens appreciate and know that. We spent $4 million on the resurrection and new tank right there, as you see, completed, and I think future generations will benefit from that for many, many years to come. Well, our city staff puts us in just a great position all the time for the flagship programs that they administer and for the work that they do. And so you can see a number of things that have been accomplished in water and sewer and on the environmental side. The Tennessee Recreation and Parks Association gave us 3 4-star awards to Parks and Recreation. And the most prominent of those is the new Bounds Playground at Rotary Park, which we're very proud of. Our Wingdeer Park was selected as 2018 Complex of the Year for softball. So, and the last one there, people are going like, well, what does that mean? And I would be real brief on that. But we just received this award as High Performance Governor Award. So since we're 150 years old, just go back and think everything was done on pencil and paper. In fact, the first mayor that was elected in 1869, Henry Johnson, they tallied his votes on a piece of paper with hash marks. There were, by the way, 60 votes that elected him mayor. But since that time, we've entered the modern ages, and so when we first became computerized, every department kind of had their own system, and they were working internally with their own systems. And now we have gone to the point where we have integrated all those systems into a citywide information systems that works, hopefully to your benefit, because it will create more of an effective and efficient government. So we were recognized for that.
In Johnson City, we go all out for our families.
Thank you, Commissioner Hunter, for bringing your family into that. This is such an important thing for us, and that's quality of life. We know that it has a huge impact on attraction and retention. And our citizens tell us they want to live in a place where they can be outdoors and they can be together. So just a few things we've been recognized for. On the bottom left there, we're the top adventure town, according to Outdoor Blue Ridge magazine. Look at this bottom right. When people get mad at us, commissioners, we're going to remind them of this. We're the happiest Blue Ridge mountain town with a population of over 50,000. So when they get mad at us, we're saying, wait a minute, listen, we're supposed to be happy. We also, as I mentioned, we go to the citizens for information. And here's what they're telling us. 89% of our residents think Johnson City is an excellent or good place to live. Boy, that's a good thing for us to hear. So we can't let it down, and we need to set a target to say, well, you know, let's get 100% there. But look at this scene, this Founders Park. What a beautiful place. And one thing we didn't do was design Founders Park to be a festival venue, but that's what it's turned into. But you can see the people who just gathered together. That looks like a Friday night music series that we have there. 85% plan on remaining in Johnson City. 84% think their neighborhoods are good or excellent. So this is good information, but we can't rest on our laurels there. And so we have this great park system. We have 24 parks on 1,200 acres of land within the city. We have just about every kind of activity you can think of, and mostly we want our young people to be involved in activities that can help guide them into their own character development. So our parks, you can go there anytime on weekends. Civitan is just like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And our parks have really become gathering places for our citizens to be able to socialize and watch their children play sports. One of the projects that you're going to see completed here in the next little while is Langston. As we all know, it was the historic African American school that was built in 1892. And in 1965, during integration, it closed. The building sat there empty for a number of years, and then we had some maintenance activities housed over there. It fell into really terrible disrepair, and we had to tear some of it down, but we saved this. And the upstairs and downstairs is being turned into a multicultural arts and education center that we're all going to be extremely proud of. One of the things being built in this is a recording studio. So students can learn how to write, record, edit, and produce music, and learn a skill on something that they kind of naturally do anyway. We'll be doing the ribbon cutting for this later in the summer, and I'd like to see everybody in this room there.
In Johnson City, we go all out for education.
Thank you, Commissioner Calhoun, who is he's vacationing after ETSU got through his graduation, so we wish him well at the beach. But we are grateful to have Dr. Calhoun on the commission, and all of y'all know that he was appointed after the very tragic death and loss of Dr. Ralph Van Brockman, who we miss daily on the commission. We could not be prouder of our Johnson City schools. And there's several things on this slide. There's a lot of stuff on here. But this is really talking primarily about our 2019 graduates from Science Hill. Look across the bottom. This is the important piece. 64% of those students surveyed are going on to four-year college or programs. 24% on two-year and 7% on technical of the trades. There are at least 5% who are walking across that stage with a high school diploma that don't have those plans. Now, employers are telling us that a high school diploma alone makes a person less employable in the new jobs of tomorrow. So the school systems are doing amazing jobs to plant the seed in all students that the high school diploma is not the end, it's the beginning. And so we get these students ready for the jobs of the future. 98% of those are slated to graduate, and so that's wonderful. We have an average ACT score of 22.3. Now here's the big thing on the top where it says greater than 90% capacity. Our elementary schools are all over 90% capacity, and the school that we really have a pinch point is Indian Trail with 106% capacity. So we have more students in that school than it's originally designed for. So the school system is proposing a solution to this by coming up with 2 middle schools and then moving the 5th graders back to the elementary schools. And so right now we are completing a $10 million project to build a cafeteria and gymnasium at Libertyville to get our students out of Freedom Hall finally. And this is a great project that we're glad to finally be able to get done. So we are going to have about $30 million of capital needs over the next decade to be able to get our school system in the position that we need so that we can provide the best education possible for our children. Well, you've been seeing this, go all out. Johnson City went through a rebranding process last year, and we felt like we needed to get ready for the future. We looked at what our assets are, and it's these great outdoors around us. I mean, there's not an ugly view from almost any kind of high point in Johnson City. And so this is our new look and our new, as I call it, slow-go. You've been hearing it throughout, but go all out. And that's just the challenge to everything, from our schools to our city services to our businesses to our nonprofits. Let's go all out to get us to the next level. This is our new website, as you'll see. It's very, very user-friendly. And this gentleman, this hiker, some of you have probably stood up there. It's on top of, is it White Top or White Rock? White Rock. looking down on Borla there on the left, but looking up toward Carter County and Roan Mountain. And we just have some magnificent facilities and amenities that everybody can participate in. So I'll end with this, with our challenges and opportunities. Again, we go to our citizens and ask for their opinion. And there we go. So these are the top 5 things our citizens identified are our challenges. And the top one is our homeless and the John Sevier. So we're working actively to, we need to figure out how we keep people from being homeless and how we get them out of homelessness. The other thing is the John Sevier you've heard so much about, and we are aggressively working to help get those people in acceptable housing and then to be able to redevelop that property. So stay tuned on that one. We need all hands on deck to make that happen. Our vacant buildings downtown, I think we have to be stronger with our landlords who own these buildings, particularly those who live out of the state, to keep them in some kind of appearance, if they're not going to have a business in there, that they look acceptable from the street. Another whole discussion is the opioid epidemic. We don't have time today, except that there's a commitment from East Tennessee State University, Ballad Health, our cities, our whole First Tennessee Development District, that we need to get this figured out. Attracting business and the job growth. Mitch Miller is in here. He did indicate since 2015, we've actually had about 200 job growths per quarter since that time, but it's becoming kind of weak. So our economic development folks are actively engaged in these last 2 bullet points. And so this is what we're facing. Growth of less than 1.7%. And as I mentioned, the city budget's only going to grow 0.6%. Our sales tax is kind of flat, shrinking GDP. Talent migration. We have tons of students pouring out of these universities, from Milligan to ETSU to Northeast State to our TCATs, and we see this talent migration to the urban centers. And by the way, Pete, we have 2 cranes in the air in Johnson City. You measure success, they say there's 18 cranes in the air in Nashville. We have 2 today. This is great. And workforce readiness. It's having those workers ready to go into the workplace, from the soft skills to the skills that are needed for the jobs that we have today. And then the next and last one to me is the big one. It's the market disruptors. We're seeing this in retail. I see Timber sitting over here. She's shaking her head, I'm sure. That the nature of retail has changed. When we can order probably off of that. Since it won't advance the slides, I'm going to place an order on Amazon. It's changed everything. And so we've got to get this figured out, because the nature of retail is changing. And as I always say, the poster child of that is an empty Toys R Us building sitting on Run Street. That's what it's about, folks. So the more we do the online shopping, the more our bricks and mortar and our loyal retailers are suffering. Energy has changed. That's why you see Bright Ridge, from the old Johnson Power Board only delivering electricity to a multi-business facet of broadband and solar. You saw us kick that off yesterday. And so we have to diversify our revenues. And then manufacturing is just changing because of robotics and advanced manufacturing, so they need less people. So these are all things that we as the elected leaders have to get focused on and do something about it. And then our last thing is just, hey, if you go to Missouri or you go to Memphis and say, what do you know about Johnson City? They're going to say, where? Okay. So we have to have a bigger footprint, and that turns to the region on how we get identified. So what did we do? Here we are, gentlemen. This is your new commission that was seated in December of 2018. And our commitment is purposeful leadership. Innovation has to be one of our leading things that we go out of the chutes with, and look at the solutions that are already out there. Look what Bristol Motor Speedway just did. They turned Thunder Alley into a 20,000 seat concert venue now. So it's been creative in how we do things differently than the way we've always done them. And we have to target, we have to get laser focused, so we target high-tech companies and high-tech jobs to bring here. Target small business startups, target entrepreneurship. How do we become a small business friendly city? We use incentives wisely. Folks, we get hammered on these incentives. If you want to get mad at somebody, don't get mad at the people who are bringing you the possible job improvements in the business here. Get mad at the system. It's nationwide, and this is the world that we live in today. So, but the optimal word is we use that wisely. We have to really focus on workforce development, and then target matching up our young people who are coming out of our schools with the jobs that exist. I hear from businesses, I can't find a workforce. I hear from the kids coming out of school, I can't find a job. So we have to be a broker in that regard. And this commission, I'm very proud to be serving with them, and I can tell you we spent a long time together identifying our governing principles and how we will govern this city. And our goal is to show what good governance is like. So I hope y'all keep an eye on us, okay? Well, the last couple things here is just leveraging our strengths. And we have a lot of them. We have a diverse economy, and we have diverse jobs. We have a higher ed pipeline that brings the talent right to us if we're ready for that. We'll go through all of these, but when you see that list, other cities and other regions would die to have this list. And so we've just never really leveraged them to the fullest extent that we can. But we have to do it now. We cannot leave any stone unturned. So a couple of last opportunities. Obviously, the John Sevier is a big project that we want to have happen. We're seeing now we have development zones, the opportunity zones that are presenting themselves. We've got to learn more about that, where we can find more investment dollars, regional partnerships, city-county partnerships. The more we can do together and leverage the funds that we have to make things happen. And then just the ETSU partnerships. If we can help ETSU grow 1,000 students, that's like a manufacturing plant here. So they bring in a lot of revenue to the city and to the county. So the last thing I want to say is about the census. It's coming up in 2020. If we don't get every citizen to take the census, this is what it costs us, over $1,000 of lost revenue from funding sources from federal government that we will miss if we don't get every person. So we all have to get on board and really support and tout the census. And I believe
in Johnson City, we go all out.
So we go all out for you, and we thank you so much for your attention, and meet you up at Tannery Knob.